Run, river, run, run through the hills. Run, river, run to the sea. Run, river, run to your place beneath the sun. Run, river, run over me.
Hi, this is Jan Lewis. Welcome to be my guest. Today we have from Hopkinton, Cameran Marie Sassman, and she is an author. Her first book, I believe. Welcome, Cameran. Cameran Marie or Cameran? Which would you
Cameran
want?
is good.
Cameran's good. In between shows, the A-sides. This is quite a book. I've just begun starting it, and I almost couldn't put it down the other night. She has a beautiful, simple style. She gets right to the point, and this is based somewhat on your own life.
That is correct.
What made you want to write this, Cameran?
So it was kind of a confluence of things. I think must have been back in spring of 2022. I belonged to a Facebook group for the old punk rock club that I used to go to back home in New Jersey.
Yeah.
And somebody had posted about this punk rock flea market that was happening. And I didn't know that was a thing.
Yeah.
And I guess they'd been running this punk rock flea market for a couple of years, and I thought to myself, maybe punk rock isn't dead.
No.
So that was a big part of my life growing up in the 80s, and I had a real soft spot for the punk rock alternative music scene. So I just started kind of listening to that music again, and then I think around that same time, are you familiar with Stranger Things, the show on Netflix? It's kind of a lot of 80s nostalgia, and they had their 4th season last spring, and one of the characters they introduced was kind of this metalhead kind of character, but he had a heart of gold. Yeah. And he reminded me so much of a friend of mine from high school who was kind of that same way, wore the black leather jacket,
the big boots.
The big boots.
Did you have the big boots? There's a picture here.
I did have the big boots. Those are my actual combat boots.
Those are still in style.
Oh, I know.
I'm seeing the girls. Is that called steampunk?
Sometimes those are Doc Martens combat boots, so they're kind of like the uniform of the punks from back in the day, but everybody wears them today.
The guys and the girls. Now, you grew up in Jersey.
I did.
What part of Jersey?
I grew up in Central Jersey.
What do you think of it there compared to up here?
Area. It's different. I came up here to go to college and kind of never left, so I came up to Mass, I think, in around 1990.
Where'd you go?
I went to UMass Dartmouth.
There you go.
So, but Massachusetts is a little bit different than New Jersey. I think, where I grew up, it was, you had a lot of people commuting to Philadelphia and to New York. Yeah. And your neighborhood was really your family, and you had people from all over. Here feels a little more insulated to me.
Do you remember towns called Somerville or Bridgewater, New Jersey?
Yes, I have
My
friends
cousins
that live there.
were from there. It was a long hike for them to come to see us in Christmas in Western Mass.
Right.
It was. This is first of all, look at this cover. In between shows, the A-sides. Now it says on the back. Oh, who was the one who designed this?
Me.
You did it.
So I did that cover. I do have another cover that my son designed.
Yeah.
So when I started having the ideas about the book, the thing that stuck in my mind was when you would go to City Gardens to see the punk rock shows, you would go in and sign up for the little mailing list. Yeah. And then every month you would get a punk card in the mail, and the punk card had all of the upcoming shows and the bands that were playing. And back in the day it was very DIY, everything, some of it was like hand drawn, and it was just, that was part of like the subculture at the time. And so when I got the idea for in between shows, like I just saw in my head all the shows that I went to my junior year in high school, and I wanted to set them up like one of the old school punk cards. And my son actually did my first cover with the punk card. He's 20.
Oh, okay, that's right. You saw it for a second. I forgot. I thought, you had a daughter. So he's very talented.
Yes. So that was the first cover. This is the second cover. So right before the holidays, I think it may have been before Thanksgiving, in that same City Gardens Facebook group, there was a posting that they're tearing down the old City Gardens, and people back home who used to go to the club were just reeling. It was just such a part of, the punk rock culture back in the day, and people were just so emotionally attached to this place. Yeah. So I decided I was going to go home to New Jersey, I was going to take my combat boots with me, and I wanted to get a picture of my combat boots in front of the old City Garden. Those are my original combat boots,
And the setting of the boots behind it is a typical, the wire fence.
Yep.
And then the buildings of the city behind it.
Yep.
Now, this is cool. On the back, it has the same picture, and it says the name of the star of this show. Minnie Mondoni is a 16-year-old girl newly obsessed with the punk rock scene of the late 80s. Follow Mimi,
yeah.
and her combat boots on adventures in friendship and love with her cadre of skater boys, bandos, and girlfriends. When did you begin reading this?
I started writing it, I guess it was in August sometime. Like, I finally got the idea to tell my story for a couple reasons. I had some trauma my junior year in high school, and I never had a chance to really kind of go back and process some of that. And I've been working with my therapist on kind of reframing regret. And I thought, well, you know what, I can go back and revisit my story and maybe do a little healing from that time and process it all, because book 2 is going to be coming out soon. I'm working on book 2 at the moment.
Coming out?
It's a work in progress, but I'm hoping by the end of 2023.
What will it be called?
In between shows, the B-sides.
The B-side.
The B-side. So this is kind of a record reference for people who like vinyl.
Yeah.
I love old records. I still have an old record player.
They're coming back, you know.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
I never thought I'd see them again.
Yeah. I keep my record player in my classroom, and actually I play my old vinyl for my kids.
Do you remember what were those things? After records we had, what was that big thing we used to have?
Oh, we had 8-tracks.
Yeah.
We had cassettes, CDs, and now everything's digital.
Oh, now we've got, oh my God,
so
I see
many different things.
The kids in my son's age group, I mean, they're all snapping pictures of this and that. I'm like, I guess so. I've tried it, not bad at it. You got to, if it's, I don't want to take a selfie of it, but I'm just saying, you can kind of move it. You got to get a real, now, give us an idea, or tell us the whole ending, but tell us about this girl. Tell us about what she goes through.
So, Mimi is based on me, and I think I've always been one of those people, I've always felt a little, I guess, misunderstood. Like, I was really, really smart in elementary school, and I was a very deep thinker and a very curious kid, and I always kind of felt like I had a tough time relating to people, and that kind of continued on through middle school and high school. And I think I think of myself as kind of a fringe kid. Like, I had friends, but I was always kind of on the periphery of things, and I never kind of felt like that I totally belonged with, not that I wanted to be a popular kid, but you want to feel accepted for who you are. And so I think probably, I guess it was my 8th grade year, towards the end of my 8th grade year, a friend of mine had introduced me to a band called the Dead Milkmen.
The Dead what?
The Dead Milkmen.
The Dead Milkmen.
And they were kind of a funny, quirky punk rock band from the Philadelphia area. And I heard the Dead Milkmen, and I was just like all in. Like, it was just fun, and it was clever, and it was smart, and it was silly also. And it just kind of opened up this whole world to me of like this alternative music and kind of this underground scene that it wasn't popular at the time. And I kind of felt like, you know what, it was mine. And I had a small group of friends who also, were into that, and we were all kind of exploring that, music scene at the time, where everything was, big hair and MTV, and we were in this like little underground area, and it felt really special to be there. So I think, my character, Mimi, certainly, I think, exemplifies that kind of quirkiness and kind of being that outsider, but who also wants to be accepted for who she is. And, I think that's a lot of what I'm working through in the story is, that journey towards identity and figuring out who you are. And I think part of it for me, too, was I'm an adopted person. And I did not know my genetic heritage, and you're always kind of searching for those things. So it's really, I think, a story too about searching for your identity and, growing into the person you're becoming and exploring, your relationships with your friends and your family. And I think...
Did you ever, did you get into Kiss, the rock band Kiss?
No.
That was before you? Or?
That was before my time. I mean, they were
around.
No, I know, they've been around forever.
Oh my God, yeah.
I had a cousin who was absolutely just crazy about Kiss, and he had like so many records, but that was like, I would say more like the late 70s. I mean, Kiss is still around.
Where have you been appearing?
So I've been doing some small independent bookstores. Like I did an event at Aesop's Fable in Holliston, the Nevermind Shop here in Upton. Yep. I did...
I didn't know that he was... My God, I didn't know he was having authors.
Well, I reached out to
No, that's good.
to Mick, yeah.
That's good.
Yeah.
That's a good
And
thing.
he had another author there this past weekend.
Yeah.
So that's entertainment in Worcester. Yeah. I had a nice event there. There's a little punk rock flea market in Worcester called the Worcester Punk Rock Flea Market. I did one of their events. I'm doing another one coming up on June 18th. I'm doing Tatnook Bookseller
in Westboro?
This weekend in Westboro. There's a new bookstore in Auburn called A Great Notion. Yeah. So I was there a couple weekends ago. So I'm trying to hit like the little local
How about
bookstores.
the Book Lovers Gourmet up in Webster? I know the owner.
Oh, I haven't been there
I
yet.
send a lot of my authors up there.
Oh, nice.
It is fantastic. She loves authors coming. She even displays artists.
Oh,
it's
cool.
a bookstore, brand new books, even a used section in the back. Afterwards I'll tell you about it, but, as a publicist for authors, I get people out there.
Oh.
And there's so many places, but now, if you were, first of all, how can they reach you, Cameran, to get your book?
So my book is for sale on Amazon under In Between Shows, the A-Sides, and also you can check me out on Instagram at In Between Shows or on Facebook at In Between Shows as well, and I have a website, www.inbetweenshows.com.
How far would you be willing to travel if someone wanted to invite you to be at their facility to give a presentation?
Oh, I'll travel anywhere.
All over New England?
All over New England.
Oh, she's cool. Some authors tell me, well, if you're going to, I do the research for places, and he said, well, keep it within, some are like, just like you, go for it. Others will say, well, I don't want to travel further than Rhode Island and Massachusetts. Right. I said, that's fine, too. There are so many independent bookstores that are opening now. Yeah. It's awesome.
Yeah, it is great. I'm glad
after COVID, it's like,
having the paper books making a comeback. So many people are on the Kindle and on the computer. I like to have the paper book.
I don't get it.
I
don't get anything out of this thing.
Yeah.
No, I want this.
Yeah. I did do a little e-reader for a little while, but after a while, I'm like, I like having the feel of the book in my hand.
Well, now you're going to have one of your books, In Between Shows, the A-Sides, over at our brand new Upton Library facility here in Upton. He'll be over in the dedicated local authors section when you get it there, right? And you guys can enjoy it too. It's a great way to get the word out. Another great way, to do this. Now, your next one is going to be as soon as August?
Well, I'm writing it now. I'm hoping to have it done by the end of 2023. So maybe before Christmas, but definitely at least by early 2024.
Yeah, I'm going to say, I tell a lot of artists, I said, artists and authors, I said, try to get into, if it's even an author, I say, try those art fairs, because they'll say, why? Because you're probably going to be the only author there, and you're going to have a lot of people coming to you. Have you been to the, I was going to say, the senior centers? They have teenage grandchildren, because they'll say to me, why are you sending me there? I said, think about it. They have, and they've got Christmas coming up. There's so many venues to go to. Yeah. I'm just wondering, there are junior high groups and senior groups going around, and there's so many libraries. Oh my God. Now, which libraries have you been to?
I haven't been to any yet. Okay. I've been focusing mostly on independent record stores and small bookstores.
Because Hopkinton has a beautiful library. We have a beautiful library in Upton. Oh my gosh. I mean, if you go on home, there's how many libraries in Massachusetts? And many of them have beautiful presentation rooms, so you're not, in the corner. Right. Yeah, they're very, very good. What is your vision for? Are you going to have a third book too and a fourth?
I'm not sure yet. I have the story arc in mind for what's happening in book 2. I've got everything kind of laid out, and I know where that story's going.
Yeah.
I'm going to see how things go. I mean, if it, really takes off and, people are interested in seeing more of Mimi's story, I definitely can, continue on. But the thing about book 2 is Mimi's story is going to diverge from my actual life. I would say book 1 is definitely more autobiographical. I think book 2, Mimi's going to make some different choices and have some different things happen to her that then actually happened to me in real life. So in a way, I'm rewriting my own narrative, which also has healing properties.
Well, you know what I love? One of these is chapter 31. You came down with the chicken pox.
Oh.
Just about prom time to get your dress.
Yeah.
And you were in court. I know I got him, but I gave him to my toddler, my little son.
Oh, no.
I gave it to him. I was, of course, when you're an adult, you're a hell of a lot sicker.
Yeah.
Boy, they got me into that doctor's office quarantine right off the bat. But it was bizarre. I've never had it before as a kid. But you said, when I finally could end my quarantine, once again, it was super stressful trying to get caught. Oh, no kidding. Caught up in school. You finally were able to quickly get a dress. You got lucky.
I did.
Damn, you got lucky.
I did.
To find one that
it was
soon.
2 weeks before the prom.
You might have had to have gone, Jesus, to a bridal shop.
I did. It was a bridal shop.
All right, because sometimes you can get a knockoff from a bridesmaid's gown.
Yeah.
Sometimes at thrift shops, they do have them, but it's a tricky thing.
Yeah.
It's a hit or miss. You've got, what was it now? Yeah, worst of all, she had to go prom shopping, dress shopping. I love that one.
And I was still covered in like chickenpox scars and scabs falling off.
Did you have the long sleeve or not? No,
it was a strapless dress,
and you had all this
and I still had like the chickenpox scars. It was awful, and thank goodness my grandmother's neighbor, 2 little old Italian ladies, they were both seamstresses back in the day.
Yeah.
So my mother took me to their house and they pinned me all up and they worked their magic so the dress didn't fall off because I had to buy it big because it
How
was
did you stop itching from the pox?
Well, I mean, it wasn't so much the itching at that point. It was just I still had like the scabs on me, which was kind of gross.
Oh, boy, you're brave.
But I will say, by the time the actual prom happened, like I was clear, but I mean, I still had like some little scars.
Did you get your hair done? Most girls get their hair done.
I think at the time I just wore my hair natural, although let's call it a perm, as natural as a perm can be.
Did you have a crown, a tiara?
No, I did not.
You didn't do that?
No.
Look at the beginning of the preface. She said, "This story is loosely based on my life as a teenager, growing up in my beloved hometown in Hamilton Square, New Jersey. For most of my life, as she has shared with us, I never felt like I fit in and always felt on the fringes." Were you the only child in the family?
No, I have a younger brother.
Younger brother.
And my brother was Mr. Popular. He was like one of those kids that was beautiful from the beginning and very charismatic, and he was an athlete, and he just, had people eating out of his hands, and I never had that. So I was kind of like, the bookish one, and I did really well in school, but like he was the one with all the confidence and all the friends and everything. So it was just like an interesting dichotomy.
You went to UMass Dartmouth, right?
Yeah.
Did you major in elementary ed?
I did not. So I wanted to be a marine biologist. I came up here specifically to go to UMass Dartmouth to study marine biology.
What happened to that?
So let me tell you what happened to that.
What the heck?
So my undergrad degree is in marine biology.
Yeah.
And I worked on a research boat while I was at UMass Dartmouth.
Yeah.
So we used to go out from New Bedford Harbor, and we would sample all along Buzzards Bay up to the Cape Cod Canal.
Yeah.
But it became very evident to me very early on that I get wicked motion sick.
I have motion sickness too.
So, I mean, I suffered for like 3 years on the research, but while I would take Dramamine.
Did it help?
It would help, but it would knock me out. So,
doesn't do anything for me.
in between collecting stations.
Yeah.
Like I would sleep, and then we'd get to the station, people would come over and, Cam, wake up, it's time to collect the samples.
Yeah, it's an awful feeling. A lot of people don't understand.
Yeah.
But it is. It could be anything from, I sat on somebody's waterbed one time, I'm like, ooh.
Oops. Bad idea.
I can't describe
Yeah.
it. Even going to Martha's Vineyard on the boat, most people say, what's your problem? It was this.
Yeah.
Someone said, focus on the horizon. The
No,
more I did
doesn't
that,
help.
the worse I felt.
No,
Oh
it
my
doesn't
God. So, okay, so you,
So-
4 years, you got that anyway.
I did, but I also wound up getting a minor in biochemistry, and then I decided to go to graduate school for chemistry. So I have a master's degree in organic chemistry, and then I worked in industry at a biotech company for a few years, and then I became a teacher.
So you went back to college.
I was still working while I went and did a teacher
And got the
certification.
elementary education?
Middle school.
Middle school
Middle
education.
school.
Is that was another 4 years of college?
Not so much. So since I already had the master's degree,
Yeah.
I just needed to like take the teacher prep courses and do the teacher certification test or whatever, and do
You have
all
a
that.
lot of stamina to go through all that again.
It
Let me
was
tell
a
you,
lot.
by my second
Oh.
year in college,
And it never ends for teachers. I'm still taking classes, and I've been teaching for over 25 years at this
how old are the
point.
kids?
13, 14.
That's a tough age.
Yeah, but you know what? I love middle schoolers.
You do,
There's
yeah.
there's an energy about them
Yeah.
that it brings me joy. I mean, it's been a little tough the last couple of years with the pandemic, but I also think, you know, for me, because I struggled so much as a young person at that age, like I have this understanding and empathy
Right.
for those kids, and
Have they read your book?
I don't know that they know
You should
about my
really,
book yet.
really, especially
Yeah.
high school kids.
High schoolers, yes.
Definitely.
Middle schoolers, I'm like,
They have libraries in
Yeah.
school, and boy, if
Yeah.
you had this displayed and written by a local teacher,
yeah.
I think it's great. I really do. Again, Cameron, how can they get your book?
So it is available on Amazon.com, and you can just search up In Between Shows the A-Sides, or search by my name, Cameran Marie Sassman, and it's available on ebook, paperback, and hardcover. The hardcover version, though, has the original punk rock card cover, and the other two versions have the...
Well, you're in a good situation in life where the kids are not in school anymore at home, right? I mean, do you work all day as an author, or do you work just at now? How do you do that?
So when I'm in the thick of writing, like I just write whenever I have time.
Yeah.
What's nice being a teacher is I'm home for the summer, and most of my boys are all like high school age and older.
Yeah.
So you know, I just have time to sit and write. But like the last few months since the book came out, like I've been doing the promotion, so that's been taking up a lot of my time because I'm a self-published author.
Yes.
And you know, I just started working with a publicist, so trying to figure out the whole...
Publisher or publicist?
Publicist.
Okay, because that's what I do. Yeah, it's a wonderful, it's a rewarding job. Let me tell you, I do all the research. I just let you know who's up front, where you'd like to go, and that type of thing. What was I going to say? So, you're up in Hopkinton. You haven't been to the library yet. I strongly suggest it because you are a local. You are a teacher. Shoo in, and they do have well, it's beautiful in there. They have plenty of room for, I've been in their presentations.
Right.
And now when you go to TAC, are you going to be in the big room in the back, or are you going to stick up front with the table?
I think I'm going to be in the big room for part of it because I'm going to do a live reading. And then they're going to move me up front after that. So.
Okay. Yeah, because there's two sections.
Yeah.
Some authors like to be up front. And I've had authors think, well, it wasn't getting anywhere, so I took my book and I walked around and would meet people like, hi, I'm so-and-so, and come on up and see me with my book. And that would help sell them. The back room, let me just give you a big suggestion. Are you good at making signs? You're good at covers.
Yes, I've got banners.
I was going to say,
all manner of
Tatnut gets a good
materials.
They can do a good job making a line as to who's coming.
Right.
But when I was there, and I had an author or two there, I said, get an easel right at the doors, okay, and an arrow. People don't always think to go to the back. And when you, right at the door, have another easel, right there, so they can't miss it, with some balloons up top. The idea is to get their attention. Not every place is good at that.
Right.
And it's your time, your effort.
I had a problem with that at a punk rock flea market I did. It was a big venue, and up on the concourse, there were a bunch of vendors, and then on the floor of the arena, there were a bunch of vendors.
Yeah.
But you had to walk down the stairs to get to the lower level.
Yeah.
And nobody knew that there were even vendors on the floor, and I was on the floor, and I had hardly any traffic, and it was like,
that's what I ran into at Milford Library, and they're terrific over there, but this was years ago. And I had a children's author, and I had her scheduled, and I expected her to be upstairs at the children's room. I decided to stop in and say hi and see how things were going, because I live nearby. And I stopped in, I'm like, where is she? So I asked, oh, she's downstairs, like the basement area. I'm like, you're kidding me. So I went downstairs. She's sitting all alone with her husband in the corner in the dark kind of what should be the event room, but more for adults. I said, what are you doing down here? And she said, well, that's where they put me. I'm like, no. So I went, she was having lunch. I went to the director of the children's section. I said, we need to get her upstairs now. So I helped get her up, get her set up. I don't know how many books she sold. Once we had the sign up and everything, she was in the children's room. People knew where she was.
Right.
I'm thinking, what were you guys thinking? Putting her down in the basement? It's a good thing I did stop in, because I set that right. Let me tell you, she succeeded very nicely. Have you thought of going to the Hopedale Day in the Park coming in September? It's an annual thing.
Oh, I didn't know that was a thing.
I think your publicist is not missing a lot of local things. It's in September. It's open to everybody. Right down there in Hopedale, the big park.
Oh, nice.
I bet you'd
I'll
love
look
it.
into that. I do have one event already scheduled in September. There's a big rock and roll yard sale in Somerville.
When? What day?
I think it's the 17th or the 11th?
Okay. All right. Well,
somewhere
I think
around
the 23rd. You probably.
Okay.
I think you'd really. It's fun. It's relaxing. Hopedale's right up the road.
Oh, yeah.
Well, okay. So we've been talking with Cameran Marie Sassman, and she's the author of In Between Shows, the A-sides, the B-sides is coming up. And one more time before we close, where can you get this book?
On Amazon. In Between Shows, the A-sides by me, Cameran Marie Sassman.
Thanks for being with us.
Thank you for having me.
Let me know when your next one comes out.
Absolutely.
And we'll have that on with you, too.
Awesome.
All right. We'll see you next time.
Thanks
Be
so
my
much.
guest.
Riding on a shooting star, heading out toward a dream. Tomorrow's even closer than it seems.